Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new type of video. Please let me know later on if you're interested or not on this type of videos. So what I want to share here is the evolution of how I do army in a way that is also sustainable and enjoyable for future editions. So here I want to show you what is the evolution of a Renegade War army that I did the showcase last weekend. So I started this army around 2003 when the Age of Terror Codex appeared. The time I was collecting Chaos Space Marines, and I decided that I would like to have some Imperial Guard, as there was army list here that was called Lost and Damned, that was combining Chaos Space Marines with Imperial War miniatures. I thought that was a very good way to start a little force of Imperial Guard. In that way, I just created some squads of Imperial Guard and I did some of the Ultra Mutants that are like the Ogwins with some mutations. Later on, I decided to do some Imperial Fist or Armored Imperial Guard based on tanks, and I was inspired by the White Dwarf and Imperial Armor because I always loved the Imperial Guard tanks. So I did all the tanks that you see here, all the Lehman Russes, and also the Chimera during that period. In that way, my Imperial or Renegade War increased. And when the first Apocalypse book appears with this Venerable Site, I decided that this was a very nice choice to add to my Chaos collection. So I decided to paint a Baneblade, and I decided to follow the same color scheme I was doing for my Imperial Guard, as it's supposed that the Baneblades are more linked to the Imperial Guard than to the Space Marines or the Chaos Space Marines. In that way, I have a Chaos Baneblade that I can use with my Chaos Space Marines and at the same time with my Imperial Guard. So this was the force that I have in 2009, so in August of 2009. So in August 2009, you will see that I had a common squad. Then I have the Ogwins that I was using as a ultra mutants. I have 2 veteran squads and then a platoon with 4 units plus the common squad of the platoon. And all the tanks that you can see here. So there was some Lehman Russers, destroyers, 1 Demolisher, and then a Basilisk. So, and I also did the Chimera to use as a transport for one of my units. This is just a close-up of the Baneblade and also what was the centerpiece of my army at that point. You can also see that there is a destroyer there. It's a tank that I always love from Forge World. I think the looking is great. It's a tank without the turret and just with a big last cannon that is shooting a strength 10 shot. So after doing this picture, I decided to paint the common squad, and it's the one that you see here. I purchased these units to Forge World and I paint them almost on the same period that I have you seen the picture. Then I saw the miniature that you see on the left in the Forge World page, and I decided that this is an amazing miniature to be added to my Imperial or my Renegade Guard. So in the same kit you have the 2 sea icons that you see here in the picture, so I decided to paint them and to add to my unit. All this was on the period of 2009. Keep working on my Renegades this same year. I also want to add the Rogue Riders. These are miniatures that I have from Necromunda. This was a thing that I received from a friend and just were having dust on my cupboard. So I decided that this was very nice miniatures. So I paint them more because I find them awesome to paint than really to be used in the battle. But later on, I realized that this can be a good addition also to my Renegade War. Here you have another picture. So these are indeed Necromunda miniatures that I decided to add, and I thought that they were a great addition to my Imperial Guard army. I also have them in the same batch, so I decided to split to use one unit with all the mutants, and then this unit with some Imperial Guard from other legions. The one in the middle is a combination using Warzone kit with the Necromunda kit and also some Imperial Guard kit. So it's a mixture of all of different kits to do the Sergeant in the middle. So in 2009, as you can see, I was quite focused on increasing my Imperial Guard, and this was the moment that I increased some of the troops, and I also add the heavy weapon teams. These are I purchased them very cheap in eBay, and then I decided to use some of my bits to add some conversions and to make them look more renegade. On one of the kits or one of the batches have, I have this old miniature from the Balaya regiments and also from Kalia regiments, and I decided they were a very good addition. So I just substitute the muzzle of the weapons with the chaos mm, shapes, as you can see here. So like this type of dragon or demon heads on the muzzle to make them look more chaosy, and I work a lot on the base to make them look that they are trenched behind some protection. So, and this was the last unit I had on 2009. So this just was the last unit I had from the heavy weapons team. Then when I finished with the heavy teams, just ending 2009, this was more in November, I had Demolisher. At that period, the kit was still with the metal turrets, so I purchased some turrets in Forge World, and I decided to use the turrets from Forge World to do my Demolishers. These ones, I also have these two guys sitting on top of the tank. They were purchased in eBay very cheap, and I thought that was a very nice decoration for the tank. The idea here was to do the final another demolition, and that way I have a squad of 3 demolishers. And in that case, was more thinking on apocalypse, because I think in that period you will not able to do squads of demolishers yet. So I'm pretty sure that at this moment the Imperial Guard Codex was not allowing to have squads, and was you had to purchase only one tank. So this squad was more thing to play to have them to play apocalypse games, and this one was without the sponsors to make a very cheap demolisher, almost with the minimum cost, and I decorate him as being possessed. Here you can see a picture on the working process. You can see that the turret is from Forge Wall. I add some bits from the Chaos kit from the Chaos tanks, and I also had this small miniature that was like a gargoyle that I decided to add in on the turret to make it look more chaosy. The hatchet is from the defiler, so I think I give a very good look to make them look to make it look like a possessed tank. And then you have to wait until 2011, so was after 1 year and more than 1 year, 1 year and 4 months or something like that, that I decided to add a second super heavy tank to the my Renegade War, and I decided to use the Shadow Blade that is also able to be used as any other kind. So the cannon is not glued, so you can use all the different combinations that are using the chassis of the Shadow Blade. The Super Heavy was the only edition that I did in the army in 2011, and then we arrived 2012. And in 2012, I did another wave of units that I add to my army. And the first thing I had, I realized that I was missing some transports, so and I'm still missing transports. I only have 2, so I decided to do another Chimera. This time I decided to equip the Chimera with the heavy flammer on front and keep using the laser, the multi laser. And this is how was looking the army in 2012. So as you can see, the number of troops have increased, especially with the heavy weapon teams and the road riders. Before compared to the previous picture of the full army. And also all the armored part is increased with with one more super heavy and the two demolishers that I add to the tanks. This is how the army is looking like. This is a picture from May 2012. Thanks that I'm doing a blog that I'm able to date and to do this follow up on the army, and I can see how the army is increasing. What I want to show here, and I will continue now a little bit, is the first picture is from 2009 and this picture is from 2012. This is almost 3 years after. So as you can see, I do a lot of armies at the same time. So I don't rush to do the armies. I just create a base force that I can play with, and then I just upgrade and I start adding units as I think I need, depending how the meta is changing. So and then I haven't add anything on the Renegade Guard until 2013, August 2013, so just 1 year ago more or less, when I add another veteran units. These ones I wanted to use as a grenadier with the grenadier upgrade, so I want to use them like having Kappa's armor. And the base of this unit are the Bauhaus from Warzone, using some bits from Warhammer 40k, especially on the weapons and yeah, but it's mainly using the bits to do the weapons and some of the equipment. Here you have another picture, and I think they match perfectly with the look of the army. They're looking more like elite. That was my purpose, to make them look like more elite unit. With this way, I add some gold and make a quite clean painting. And the sergeant have a plasma pistol and power sword. 2013 I was quite active with that army, and I keep working. Then I add this sentinel. This I purchased maybe in 2009, or was lying in between my bits and all the rest of the things that I have pending to paint. So I decided at this period to paint. I use a Skaven banner to do the front, and then some other bits to make it look more chaotic. Here you have another picture. So this is just more recent, just from 2013, in concrete 2013 May. And while during that period that I decide also to add a second platoon. So first I paint the command squad, and here it was with the old codex that I you still have the Diane captain that was able to outflank. So my idea was to make a small force to be able to outflank. Now today the rule is not anymore present, so it's just a second platoon. So the command squad is with two melta guns, the box operator, and then the commander with plasma pistol and power sword. The two units are equipped the same, just with one flamer and the box operator. This is the second unit, exactly the same equipment as the unit before: sergeant, box operator, and one flamer. The idea here is to make a block of 20 men with two flamers, and maybe put a priest inside to be able to hold enemy units tight in combat, or just use the flammers and all the multi-laser to make a unit that is not easy to remove from the battlefield with 20 bodies. And we arrived to this year, 2014, beginning on January, when I decide to convert some Morhaime. These are all Morhaime miniatures that I decide to conversion into Psykers. This was before the codex appeared, and then I also did an enforcer, but now today they are just a bunch of Psykers to use the unit that is composed only with Psykers. I want to make them a very chaotic look, with different disciplines, one throwing fire, one throwing balls, another with tentacles. So here the look was to be quite a messy look, that showing that the chaos the chaos origin of the powers. And is in that way that we arrive at the picture that I did during this weekend. So this is the force, as you can see, is a long walk or with adding units from. So I starting just as a complement for my Chaos Space Marines and becoming quite an important force or important army. So today they are about 6,000 points. I even realized that I haven't done so much because I always try to paint what I feel comfortable to paint and what I like to do, and just adding from time to time some units, some characters that I think is helping me with the current meta. So from here, I finished. No, I will think I have the philosophy that I never finish any army. So my future plans, I want to keep this unit without flyers because I'm doing the Katachan Imperial Guard that is using Vendetta. I have planned to use Vendetta and Valkyrias on that one. So this one I want to focus on grounded force. If I use any flyer, will be one of the Forge World flyers, one of the um, not any of the ones that can hover. If not, maybe a bomber or one fighter, flyer fighter. So, but most likely I will add here Idvas or Wyverns to deal with the to have some anti-fire power. Maybe I will need to add one or two chimeras more to have more transport in case is needed. And I want to complete the force to have 10 Lehman Russ chassis. This moment I think I have 8. So the idea is to have 10 to be able to have the full formation for Apocalypse. I also have another blade pending to be painted on my cupboard. So these are more or less the plans for future. I don't think I will increase a lot infantry at this moment. I will focus more on some tanks and maybe to add in a super heavy. So I don't know, please let me know if you feel this is interesting for you. I just want to show you how I was working, how I work on that army. I can do for other armies if I have some pictures. Most likely for this, my Space Marines, I can do a very similar process almost from the beginning because I start my Space Marines when I start the block. So I will be able to rescue pictures from the beginning of the army. So if you find this is interesting and to see how army is evolving and how I do the additions on my army, please let me know in the comments below. If you think that this is a useless video and you are not interested at all, please also let me know. I want to do something that you can find interesting and I spend the time in a worthly. And that's all for this video. So please let your comment and leave your comment below. Thanks a lot for watching this video and see you later. Bye.